I heard the noise again, right beneath the floor. I paused, held my breath, and that's when I saw the rug in the laundry room move. Just a few inches, but it moved. This is Mr. H. You're listening to Masked Horror. The Man in the Crawlspace. I was house sitting for my aunt while she was out of town for a few weeks. She lives alone in this older, one-story ranch house tucked back in the woods outside Eugene, Oregon. Quiet, a little run down, but nothing too sketchy. She didn't have pets, so I figured it'd be a peaceful break from my noisy apartment in the city. That first night, I noticed how dead quiet it was out there. No traffic, no neighbors, just the sound of wind through the trees. It was eerie, but calming in a way. Until around 2 a.m., when I heard something knock under the floor. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Just one dull, solid thud, like something hitting the floorboards from underneath. I froze and waited. Nothing. I chalked it up to old pipes, or maybe the house moving in the wind. It's an old place after all. But the next night, it happened again. This time twice. A low dragging sound, then a loud, deliberate knock. It was coming from beneath the living room. There's a crawl space under the house, which I'd seen before. The entrance is in the laundry room, under a throw rug. A small, warped wooden door set into the floor. I didn't check it. I didn't want to. By the third night, and after not getting any sleep the past couple of nights, things started to feel off. Not just creepy or weird. I mean flat out wrong, like something out of The Conjuring. I noticed little things out of place. The fridge was open just slightly in the morning. A dish had moved in the sink. The light in the guest bathroom was on, when I know for a fact I turned it off. I was 100% sure of it. I thought maybe I was just tired. Maybe I left it that way and forgot. But then, I found the rug pushed aside, and the crawlspace door slightly cracked open. I threw the rug over it and tried to ignore it. Maybe I walked over it after coming from the backyard and the rug moved. But nothing I tried helped to ease my mind. I didn't sleep at all that night. I locked my bedroom door and stayed awake with the TV on, holding this dull kitchen knife I'd grabbed, like that would do anything. I ended up calling a friend I'd known for years the next day. He came over and helped me check the crawlspace. We opened the hatch and shined a flashlight inside. It was exactly what you'd expect. Dirt, cobwebs, old insulation. But in the far corner, something shiny caught the light. It was a soda can, and beside it, a pile of wadded up fast food wrappers. Someone had been down there. We backed out fast and called the police. They came, checked the crawlspace more thoroughly, and that's when they found it. A makeshift bedding area, a dirty old sleeping bag, a flashlight, more trash, a used toothbrush, and a small pocket knife. Whoever had been living down there wasn't just squatting. They'd been watching, listening, waiting. And the worst part, the police said there was no sign of forced entry into the house, which means they were getting in another way. Either they were already inside when I arrived, or they'd found a hidden way to come and go without me ever knowing. They think he'd been living under the house for at least a week before I got there, probably longer. And I was just sleeping right above him. I mean, the place was empty for a while before I got there to help out my aunt, but people do actually scope out homes. I thought and have only ever seen that in the movies, but it really does happen. They never caught him. He vanished, left behind everything. They think he might have heard us open the crawlspace and bolted before the cops showed up, but nobody saw him leave. For all I know, he was still under there the whole time we were walking around, watching us. I haven't stayed in that house since. My aunt had the crawlspace sealed shut, got cameras installed, bars on the basement windows, but she still sleeps with the lights on now. I've never forgotten that feeling, waking up in a house where something feels off. That creeping suspicion you're not really alone. Because now I know, sometimes you're not. He watched me sleep for over an hour. I live in a decent area, not gated or anything, but safe enough that most people don't even lock their doors during the day. While that may be true, I never did that. I was always taught to lock doors, but I grew up here. Nothing bad ever happens. That's what I used to think anyway. It was a Saturday night in July. I was 26, living alone in a small, single-story one-bedroom duplex. My friends had invited me out that night, but I turned them down. I was exhausted from work, and honestly, just wanted to binge a few shows and crash early. I went to bed around 10:45 p.m. I remember thinking, wow, this is way too early to go to bed on a Saturday night in summer, but I was exhausted. I remember checking the door before I laid down. Locked, deadbolt on, porch light still flickering like always. My bedroom is at the end of the hall. Small, quiet. It backs up to a row of pine trees. Nothing but woods behind me for about 50 yards. I fell asleep fast. Then I woke up to the sound of breathing. At first I thought it was my breathing. You know when you wake up mid-dream and your chest is tight. But this was different. It was heavy, wet, if that makes sense, like someone with a congested nose. I rolled over, still half asleep, and froze. There was a man standing in my room. I couldn't see his face clearly, just the outline. Tall, broad shoulders, wearing what looked like a hooded jacket. He wasn't moving. He was just standing still in the far corner near my dresser, watching me. I don't remember making a sound. My brain just locked up, but I must have twitched or gasped or something, because as soon as I moved, he lunged. I don't even remember grabbing it, but I had this cheap aluminum flashlight by my bed. I swung it as hard as I could. It caught him somewhere between the shoulder and the jaw, enough to make him stumble, but not enough to stop him. He grabbed my blanket, tried to pull it over my head, but I kicked like my life depended on it. My shin connected with his stomach, and I scrambled off the bed, screaming. He finally bolted. He ran out the hallway and out the front door, which was wide open by the time I went to look. He'd either picked the lock or forced it. I don't know, but it was wide open. But he got in silently somehow, and he just got away, just as silently. The cops came, of course. I was shaking so bad, I couldn't even hold the pen to write my statement. And then they told me something that made it worse. They found footprints in the backyard, and the pine needles leading from the woods to my bedroom window. There was a chair under the window, just out of sight. He'd been watching me sleep through the crack in the blinds. For how long, I don't know. Probably for over an hour. They also found scuff marks on the outside of the screen. He'd opened it to listen, maybe even took pictures. He came in knowing exactly where I was. He watched me. He waited. And then he tried to take me. But here's the part that won't leave my mind. There were no fingerprints, no DNA. He wore gloves, covered his shoes, they said. Knew when the neighbors wouldn't be home. He was prepared. It wasn't random. It was practiced. And he got away. I sleep with a baseball bat next to my bed now. Motion sensors, cameras. Every window has an alarm on it now. But I don't sleep much. Not really. Because now I know the truth. The thing no one wants to believe. You're never really safe. Not in the suburbs. Not in a good neighborhood. Not even in your own bed. I used to think, that kind of thing doesn't happen here. But now I know, it only has to happen once, and it never leaves you. The girl from the gas station. I was driving home from my sister's place one night, cutting through the back roads. It was past midnight, and I still had an hour left. I wasn't tired, just needed gas. My tank was almost on E, and I hadn't seen another car in miles. I pulled into the only gas station I'd seen for at least 30 minutes. One of those single pump places with flickering lights, dusty windows, and an old red Coke machine that probably hadn't worked since the 90s. There was no one else around, not even inside the station. Just one cashier, slumped behind the counter, face buried in a phone. No music, no sound, but the hum of the fluorescent lights and the chirping bugs outside. I stepped out to start pumping gas, and that's when I noticed her. She was standing by the ice chest on the side of the building, barely lit. A girl, maybe early 20s, long stringy hair, wearing a hoodie that looked too big on her. She was just standing there, completely still, staring at me. I gave a polite nod, trying not to seem rude. She didn't react. I try not to let things like that bother me, but it's still annoying. She was just there, watching. I got this tight feeling in my gut, that instinctive pull, like something's not right. But I didn't want to overthink it. I finished filling up, climbed back in the car, and locked the doors out of habit. I looked back toward the ice chest, and she was gone. I don't mean she walked away. I mean, in the second it took me to open my car door and sit down, she vanished. I scanned around. Nothing. No footsteps, no sound, just gone. I put the car in drive and pulled away. My heart was racing, but I told myself she probably just slipped around the back or something. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. I kept checking my rearview mirror the entire way back to the highway. About 10 minutes later, I passed a small green pickup truck coming the other way. And then I saw it again. Her face in the passenger seat. Same blank stare, same hoodie, just staring straight ahead. Except this time, she wasn't looking at me. She looked terrified, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, like she wanted to scream but couldn't. And the guy driving never even looked my way. I almost turned around. I almost called the cops. But what was I going to say? I saw a girl at a gas station, and then maybe saw her again 10 minutes later in a passing truck. It felt insane. Still, I slowed down and pulled into a diner parking lot to get my bearings. That's when I noticed something that still makes me cold every time I think about it. My back passenger door was cracked open. Just barely. I had locked all my doors when I got in at the gas station. I know I did. I jumped out and checked the back seat. Nothing. But on the floor was a smudge, like a dirty shoe print, and a wet mark, like condensation or sweat, on the inside of the window. Someone had been back there, maybe for minutes, maybe the whole time. I slammed the door and got back on the road, heart pounding. I didn't stop again until I was in my apartment parking lot. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I went down a rabbit hole online, trying to find anything about a girl who matched what I saw. There was nothing. Every so often, I check to see if I can find any information on her, but nothing turns up. No name, no news story, just gone. I still don't even really know what I saw. I still see the news sometimes, wondering if she ever made it out. But the part that really haunts me, if I had taken 5 more seconds to grab a snack inside the station, maybe I could have helped her. Or maybe if I opened the wrong door first, or let my guard down, it could have been me in that truck instead of her. And no one would have ever known.